A lab in China just dropped an open source AI model that beats GPT 5.5 on real coding benchmarks. It is completely free to download. And here is the part nobody's saying out loud. You can drop it straight into Claude Code in place of Opus for about 1/6 of the cost. So I did exactly that. For one full day, I deleted Opus from my setup and ran the open model instead. The reviewer AI search showed how powerful this thing is across a dozen demos. I wanted the harder question. As your actual daily driver inside Claude Code, where does it genuinely beat Opus and where does it quietly fall apart? I ran the test so you do not have to. Let me show you. First, what we are actually dealing with, because the name is forgettable and the model is not. It is called GLM 5.2 from a lab called Z.ai. It landed on June 16, 2026, and the headline is The License, Pure MIT. That means free to download, free to run, free to build a business on top of, with no strings. Under the hood, it is huge. 753 billion parameters, but it is a mixture of experts' design. So it only switches on about 40 billion at a time, which is what keeps it fast. It reads up to 1 million tokens in a single prompt, roughly a small codebase at once. The full weights are sitting on Hugging Face right now under the handle Z.ai-org. Anyone can grab them. That word open is the whole story. Hold on to it, because it is also where the catch is hiding. Now, the benchmarks. And I'm going to give you the honest version, not the hype version. On SWE-bench Pro, the test for real software bugs, the open model scores 62.1. That beats OpenAI's GPT 5.5 at 58.6. An open model beating the best GPT on coding. That genuinely matters. On the long horizon coding test, FrontierSWE, it hits 74.4 G, edging past GPT again, and landing in a near tie with Claude Opus 4.8 at 75.1. So here is the truth in one line. This is, without question, the number one open model on the planet. And it is breathing down Opus's neck. But look closely. On the very hardest benchmarks, Opus is still on top. Number one open is not the same as number one overall. Keep that distinction. It decides everything later. So if it trails Opus by a hair, why would anyone switch? One word: money. This is where it stops being a benchmark story and starts being your story. Running the open model through Z.ai's coding plan costs roughly 1/6 of what GPT 5.5 charges for the same work. Let that sink in. 6 times the work for the same spend. If you are a heavy Claude Code user, your bill is the thing that quietly grows every month. Opus is brilliant and Opus is not cheap. The pitch here is simple and a little dangerous. What if you could keep 90% of the quality and cut the cost by a factor of 6 without leaving the tool you already live in? That is not a hypothetical. The wiring is real, it takes about 2 minutes, and I am about to walk you through every step. Here is the swap, and it is shockingly small. Claude Code does not actually care which company's model is behind it. It just talks to a web address. So you change the address. You open your Claude settings file, the one called settings.json in your .claude folder, and you add an environment block. 2 lines do the real work. You set Anthropic base URL to point at Z.ai's endpoint, api.z.ai/api/anthropic. And you set Anthropic auth token to your Z.ai key. Save the file. Restart Claude Code. That is it. Now type /model. And where Opus and Sonnet used to be, you will see the GLM models sitting in their place. Same keyboard, same commands, same agent loop you already know. a completely different brain underneath. If you would rather not touch a config file by hand, they ship a one line installer that does it for you. Either way, 2 minutes and Opus is out. So I gave it a real job, not a toy demo. I pointed it at an actual project and asked it to add a feature across several files, run the tests, and fix whatever broke. The first thing I noticed is the thing reviewers keep mentioning: it just works. Minimal hand holding. It read the code base, made a sensible plan, edited the files, and when a test failed, it read the error and fixed it on its own. The reviewer AI search saw the same pattern across his demos. Very few errors, and the ones that show up usually clear with a single follow up prompt. For everyday work, refactors, wiring up a feature, writing tests, fixing a bug, it felt genuinely close to Opus. Honestly, most of the time, I could not feel the downgrade. And remember, this is the version costing 1/6 as much. For a huge slice of daily coding, that math is just brutal in its favor. There is one area where it does not just match Opus, it wins: front end and design. On the public design arena leaderboard, where humans vote on which model builds the better looking interface, the open model ranks at the very top, ahead of the closed models. I tested this directly. I asked it to build a landing page from a rough description. And what came back was clean, modern, and genuinely well laid out, the kind of result you would normally pay a premium model for. So, if your work is building interfaces, dashboards, marketing pages, front end components, this is not a compromise. It might be the best tool you can point at the problem. Full stop. The free open model, beating the flagships. At the thing designers get paid for. That is the kind of sentence that would have sounded insane a year ago. Now, the catch, because I promised you the honest version, and this is the part the hype skips. 3 real problems. 1. On the longest, hardest tasks, the marathon jobs that run for an hour across a giant code base, Opus still pulls clearly ahead. For your most critical, most complex work, the gap is real and you will feel it. 2. And this is the big one. When you use it through the Cloud API, your code and your prompts travel to servers in China. For a hobby project, fine. For your company's private code or anything under a privacy rule, that is a genuine risk you have to think hard about. 3. You might be thinking, I will just run it myself and dodge that. The weights are a terabyte and a half. Running this at home needs a small data center, not a laptop. So the freedom is real, but it is not free in the way you hoped. The catch is not a deal breaker, it is a decision. So here is the verdict, the part you actually came for. Do not think of this as Opus or the open model. Think of it as 2 tools and learn when to reach for each. Reach for the open model when the work is high volume and not life or death. Building interfaces, drafting features, writing tests, churning through routine tickets. That is where 1/6 of the cost is a no brainer and where it is just as good. Keep Opus for the marathons. The gnarly multi hour refactor, the production critical fix, the thing where being a few points better is worth real money. And if your code is sensitive, do not send it to any cloud you do not control, theirs or anyone else's. The pros do not pick one model and marry it. They keep both wired up and switch with a single slash command. After today, so can you. Because the setup is the part people get stuck on, I wrote the whole thing down for you. It is a free one-page guide called Run Any Open Model in Claude Code. It has the exact settings file, the 2 environment lines, copy and paste ready, how to map the open models onto the model picker, the real cost math, and the 3-part catch checklist, so you do not leak private code by accident. It works for this model, and for the next open one that drops too. because the trick is always the same. If you want it, just comment the word forge and I will send it straight to you, completely free. Quick, honest credit before you go. The deep hands on review that put this model on my radar was from the channel AI Search. Go watch it. I built this on top of it to answer the one question I needed answered. Can it actually replace Opus in my daily setup? If videos like this are useful to you, here is the deal. I post bite-size AI moves every day over on Instagram and Facebook. And the full deep dives, like this one, right here on YouTube. Follow on all three so you never miss one. And if you want to go deeper, I keep a small set of paid guides for people building seriously with Claude, linked below. I will keep running the costly tests so you do not have to. Now go wire it up and cut that bill by 6. See you in the next one.